One.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Glorious Reacts. Before we begin, I would love to introduce ourselves. My name is Arnold, I'm a friend from down under, and I am joined by the thriller from Manila, Joel. Say hi, Joel.
Hey guys, what's up?
And our very own Singapore Sling. Let's see what he does tonight. Paul. Say hi, Paul.
What up?
Never ceases to surprise us. In this episode, we join the Watcher as he looks through the multiverse at key events throughout the MCU that we've gotten very familiar with, but with a significant difference, giving us variant stories that show us a possible answer to the titular question, what if? Without further ado, let's get right to it. A very
Okay,
interesting episode tonight. And Paul is gonna take care of our recap. So, Paul.
it's a very interesting episode indeed. So the story begins in Morag, similar to where the Guardians of the Galaxy story begins, with Star Lord, so the familiar hero of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, trying to obtain the Power Stone. Wait, but this isn't the Star Lord that we know from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Instead of Peter Quill, it's T'Challa who was abducted back when he was a young boy by another team of Ravagers for Yondu. As T'Challa begins to leave with the orb, he is confronted by none other than, surprise, surprise, no, it's not a surprise, Korath the Pursuer, so similar to what the events of Guardians of the Galaxy, who has heard of the exploits of Star-Lord. So what the difference is here is we see Korath actually recognize T'Challa and actually fanboy around him. So then Star-Lord obliges a battle with Korath. A battle ensues. Star-Lord wins, but sensing Korath had a good nature in him, Star-Lord decides to bring him along for him to be joined as one of the Ravagers. They celebrate their victory in a, I guess you can call it an intergalactic club, as well as welcome their new recruit Korath. Then we find out that Thanos, the non-mad Titan, aborted his idea of thinning out the universe population and joined the interstellar band of merry men. Also present at the celebration is Nebula, Thanos' adopted daughter, who wants no part of him. So similar to the events. We find out from a conversation between Nebula and Star-Lord that the reason why he never went back to Earth was because Yondu told him that his home was already gone. Well, Wakanda was already destroyed. This spurred him onto his new mission to be a Robin Hood-esque intergalactic bandit. Nebula tells Star-Lord the Embers of Genesis, which the Collector has in his vast collection. The Embers have the power to terraform any planet that would help to restore many dying and dead planets. Star-Lord gladly accepts, and the team sets out for Nowhere, the Collector's base of operation / museum. There, they seem to be double-crossed by Nebula, who was actually contracted by the Collector to retrieve Star-Lord, who discovered a Wakandan ship among the Collector's collection, and finds out that his home is still well and good. The rest of the Ravagers are put in a cell while Collector confronts Star-Lord. While this is happening, Nebula frees the rest of the Ravagers, revealing that she and Star-Lord had planned everything from the start in order to give her time to get the Embers of Genesis and lead them out of there. Pursued by Cull Obsidian and Proxima Midnight. So, in this what if, the Black Order actually works security for the Collector. The Ravagers barely make it out, especially after Thanos decides to stay back to stall the Pursuers. Nebula doubles back for her father, and the two overcome Thanos' former cronies and escape on the Ravagers' ship. Ravagers' ship. Sorry, I have a wound on my tongue. It's so hard to speak.
Oh, wow.
The Collector and Star-Lord face off, and we are treated to a number of different weapons he has in his collection. Yondu shows up to help Star-Lord with the Collector, and they take the intergalactic mob boss wannabe down together and escape Nowhere. They all then head back to Earth for a homecoming for T'Challa, who introduces the family he lost to the family he gained. On another side of the world, We then see Peter Quill, who gets a visit from his father, Ego, and Uatu warns that this could spell the end of the world.
Yeah. Excellent. All right.
Oh.
Well, let's get right to our like. There seems to be a lot of things that I wrote down a lot of things. So let's start off with Joel. With his likes.
With me, okay. I actually only had two. Yeah. If last week we were treated to a sort of nostalgic episode with Captain Carter, this week, while it wasn't really something that even Guardians of the Galaxy did, this week's episode had more of a film noir treatment that I really liked. You had your protagonist in T'Challa, Star-Lord, Star-Chala. Okay, I'm gonna start calling him that,
We
Star-Chala.
just make that up.
Yeah, I make it up as I go along.
Excellent.
Just call him
Star
Chacha.
Nah, that's their
special
pet name.
between,
That's special
that's
between
special
Nebula.
between
Nebula, who looks more
She looks
ravishing here.
amazing.
Yeah, and she's the femme fatale of the episode.
She even has
So you have
hair
that,
goes
right? And
across
then
the
yeah, with a hair and like Banig. I don't know if our international audiences know who Banig is. She's a former Filipino pop star who had hair over one of her eyes. So anyway, so yeah, I like that treatment that they treated it sort of like a film noir, really even more of a heist. This was a heist film. This is a film noir heist film. I like the treatment. I like the storytelling. I like the fact that they used that in order to tell this story, and because it is the main difference between this Star-Lord and the Star-Lord that we know that we've seen in two Guardians of the Galaxy films is that this guy didn't really steal at the start. I mean, he didn't steal for stealing's sake.
Yep.
But he was like what Paul mentioned in the recap. He was being a Robin Hood. He was stealing from the poor, stealing from the rich to give to the poor.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's why the whole thing about the embers of the embers of Genesis. Embers of Genesis really he really wanted to do it because he wanted to help terraform and save billions, and he was even able to justify
Able to convince.
he convinced my boy
Exactly.
not to go ahead with his plan.
So instead of getting rid of the people, give them more food.
Yes, make more food, right? So that was really cool.
That's why he's
That-
farming now.
Yeah, he's a farmer.
Well, he's always been a farmer.
But he always was a farmer. He was a farmer before he became the Mad Titan.
Exactly.
And then the other thing that I liked was, I mean, we get a different look at the Collector. He's mafia boss, buff
You
mafia
couldn't see
boss
it.
Collector,
He could have even more chest than he already has. My gosh. He's got
right? Yeah, he was like, yeah, look at me.
Tivan was just
But-
so like. I really like
We
how he
had-
looked though. I really like.
Yeah, I like the character design for this version of
He actually
of
takes
the
off the
Collector.
glasses as well. It's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, mafia boss. I mean, it was really that. It was a heist where you've got the Char Lord. I'm
jump all
coming
over
up with all of these different names.
I know.
The Char Lord, yeah, and then where you've got the Char Lord, Star Chala, or whatever, trying to get the MacGuffin of the episode, the Embers of Genesis.
Really nothing to do with it, but it was very good. It was a very
Yeah.
noble pursuit.
Yeah, from the big bad who was supposed to be the buff collector. Yeah, those are the two things that I really liked about the episode.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna dive into mine first, Paul, because I wrote the most. But I'll do it real quick.
Sure.
I'm trying to
Of course.
like you.
Go ahead.
So one of the biggest thing that really catches you off guard and this one just really surprised me. Before I didn't get to catch any teasers or trailers for episode 2. I did not get to check out the confirmed voice actors who's gonna be on the show. So I was so surprised and so pleasantly surprised to find out Chadwick Boseman was able to reprise his role one last time as T'Challa. I only found out obviously that they were able to do this recording like a year ago before he passed away, and I was just so glad. I was just so glad to hear him again and have him take on that role one last time. I mean, you could watch all of the Black Panthers. Well, there's only one, and obviously Winter Soldier and the
Civil War.
Civil War. Civil War, yes.
Civil War.
Correct,
Yeah,
Civil War.
yeah.
And obviously Infinite War and Endgame. But it was just so nice and this is such, and we already established that What If is such a refreshing take on different stories. Feels great rewatching for the first time these stories, and then Chadwick is there, and then he gets reprisal. I was just so happy with that. We get reprisals from a lot of character people whose characters have already died. We have Yondu. Michael Rooker's back with Yondu. He didn't get to do his Mary Poppins line because that's in another movie. This one apparently is just really for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. No Lee Pace, unfortunately, but that's fine. We get Josh Brolin as Thanos again, obviously, and Jamon Honsu's
Korra.
Did he survive?
Even Karen Gillian.
No, he's dead. He's dead in the
Okay.
MCU.
So he died in the series. That's why. So I'm correct. So these are the
Oh,
ones
you're-
that I know that have died in MCU, but we get to see them again. And Jamon Honsu fangasming over Jamon Honsu's Korra fangasming over T'Challa is just so funny. It seems so out of character for his voice, but they somehow made it work.
Yeah.
It didn't feel too weird. He was a bit over the top. I really enjoyed it. So the Guardians of the Galaxy comedy was somewhat there. It's not the same level as James Gunn's writing, but
Yep.
you can see bits and pieces of it there, especially in the opening where he has that group of what race was that supposed to be? The one with Korra. Are they Kree? They would have been.
No,
Kree.
was
No.
he Kree? No, I don't think he was Kree.
Korath is Kree, but
No,
those
the soldiers that were with him.
no, they're
But there was something else. Okay.
yeah.
Staring at him, wondering if that was a catchphrase, was very reminiscent of
It was a signal for something.
it was very much a Guardians of the Galaxy type comedy. So the variations, really enjoyed it. Ravager's going straight. Well, I guess T'Challa can be T'Challa anywhere in the galaxy. You can see the repercussions, and you could say that his impact was so much larger because he was able to. His reputation preceded him, unlike Peter Quill's Star-Lord, which nobody really knew, right? So Korra was fangasming, I already mentioned. Thanos changed his mind, for goodness sake, and joined him, calling him boss, right? Tivani already mentioned that. Nebula with so much hair, she looks extremely pretty. She's great she's great bald. But this one also was a different version, and I was like, wow! And the dress that she was wearing in the beginning. Cosmo the Space Dog finally joins the Ravagers. I didn't realize that he was a Ravager in the comics, but he finally gets to join this time around. Nowhere gets terraformed. That's a weird floating head with plants growing out of it. And Karina finally gets her happy ending. So it just felt those are a lot of really good things that I found about that varied. We did get the bone and figured out what happened to Peter Quill. I didn't really care, to be honest. I didn't really care. It was cool seeing. There was another. That was the other guy. There was that
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell got to reprise Ego, and Ego's dead. So, right. Well, can a Celestial die? I assume they could.
Well,
And
nowhere is supposedly
that's
the head of
true.
the
Yeah.
celestial being.
Yep.
And obviously the dedication to Chadwick Boseman at the end.
Mm.
Paul, go for it.
Okay, so mine is pretty short. It's
Pretty short.
actually just one. It's one thing, and it's
One main
more
thing
of
and one small thing.
yeah, one main thing and one small thing. So the main thing is there's a lot of parallels in the episode itself. So I mean, not counting the animation being great, the action sequences being well
We've
done,
already
and everything.
established that in the
Because
first
it's a
one.
standard, I think, that we'll come to expect with the whole series anyway. So I don't want to delve into that. Here, it's more of the whole storyline. It's about family, and it shows in two ways. You have T'Challa and his adopted father Yondu,
Mhm.
and you have on the other end of the spectrum you have Nebula and her adopted father Thanos, and they're both trying to mend. Well, not T'Challa at the start. Nebula and T'Challa is trying to mend bridges between Thanos and Nebula, while in the process of the adventure, he has a small rift between with him and Yondu because of the lie that Yondu said about Wakanda being destroyed. And where you can see though they're both mending is in the scenes where Yondu comes back to back up T'Challa, and then Nebula runs back to back up Thanos, and then these two scenes are we're being shown one scene to the we're bringing
They're cutting through.
we were getting they were interloping those scenes, and we see these two scenes, and that's the I think that's the most impactful thing for me on this one is you can see wherever your family you have is not where you're the one you're born into, but you can have family anywhere you go, right? So
Yeah.
it's very impactful. And I think that's the best thing for and the biggest like for me on this episode of What If is this the message that the family that you're born into doesn't need to be your only family. You can have family everywhere else, anywhere else. So yeah, that's my like, and I love the parallels and how they presented it um in the show.
And I think just touching on the family theme, obviously that was the main story in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie,
Yep.
because they started as a ragtag group of just nobodies, misfits, and then they ended up being able to overcome the Power Stone together,
Together,
with the group even sacrificing himself, and we see bits and pieces of that here as well. They kind of we already know that the relationship between Peter Quill and Yondu was very special. It was weird, but was very special. It was highlighted in the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
But we got to see bits and pieces of that in the first one. We've already shown, I guess, because T'Challa has more emotional EQ. He has a higher grade of EQ than Peter Quill does.
Yeah.
So that relationship is already very strong, and they're very vocal about this one. The trust is very important. That's why when he found out that Yondu lied to him about Wakanda, it was something that caused that rift, as you mentioned. And I really found it very intriguing that we finally got to see what it would be like to have a normal, more or less, quote unquote, normal relationship, a father-daughter relationship with Thanos and Nebula. Because we've never seen Nebula have a normal relationship in the movies with Thanos. You see the longing there, but you never see any actual elaboration on a positive
But-
side.
Yeah, I'd have to ask though, where was what's her name?
Gamora?
Gamora.
I have a
It's,
theory about
Who
that,
is Gamora? Why is Gamora?
Why
It-
is Gamora?
I would if I'm taking it in the perspective of this episode, I would say that Thanos stopped before he ever got no, because Nebula was already old. Okay, then it might be Arnold's theory.
Yep. So if my theory is obviously more if the previous theory I had is actually true, which is that there's an arc across all of the episodes. We've noticed that this one seems to be very unrelated to the first one, but then again, this is in the galaxy. Opposed to the
It's well, if you look at this and the approach the MCU did with their movies, you would see that it was Earth, and then you'd see a Guardians movie which is unrelated to anything that's happening on Earth. But
Fair.
later on, it would cross over. So it's same, almost similar.
Okay,
The launch of the Phase.
that's true. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay.
But where was? Well, but where was? We
Oh,
didn't answer.
that will be answered later.
I have a theory later, but currently we have
okay.
we have no idea. We didn't get to see her.
Yeah.
And that
Did
was
she
very,
ever
very
show up in
intrigued as
any of
well,
the
because
promos?
those three.
No, I don't remember seeing her anywhere.
Not in this episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
She
that's-
is though in the cover art. So. Anyway, let's go to
that's
our
true.
dislikes. Joel, start us off.
Okay. So yeah, you can see that my boy is right here.
Yes.
And I do think that while you think while it was in your likes because of the variation, I think that they did him wrong. They did him terribly wrong.
What do you mean? Like his version, a good
His-
version of Thanos is
the
they treated
reason?
it wrong?
I mean, the fact that he was changed just like that. Thanos for me is so much bigger than how he was portrayed in this episode. And actually it goes back to how lame his actual reason was in the actual Infinity War.
Yep.
That reason was so lame. Well, yeah. I mean, because there was a way for you to really logic your way out of that, right? His reason for thinning out the population of the universe was there's overpopulation. But what the hell? You've got an OP gauntlet. You can just create more resources.
Stuff,
Why?
resources.
That's the usual retort to that, in on social media and wherever the fora.
Yep.
So yeah, it goes to show how lame they came up with that reason for him. His primary purpose, his primary reason for doing what he did, for doing the snap, compared to in the comics where he was a disciple of death. He loved death and he wanted to prove his worth to death. And the ultimate reason for him to do that, the biggest manifestation of him of doing that is to thin out the population by half.
Killing as
No, you
many
can't
people
like
as
reason
quickly
your
as
way out of that.
Yeah, but you can't make movies for kids on that.
I guess they found.
I think that there is a way to do it. Kids movies have shown worse. I would like to.
Well,
I would
we are
like
not
to.
here to argue about.
Yeah,
this.
we're not here
really
to
But-
critique
So
the.
I'm kind of curious though. So obviously he's changed his perspective, care of T'Challa's reasoning over T. And you think that has somehow made him ordinary? Is that what? That's kind of what I'm.
Yeah, I mean, he's just
Muscle.
He's just a muscle. Yeah, he's just muscle.
He's a dad.
We don't see.
He's a dad.
Yeah.
too. No,
Yeah.
Actual dad.
But come on.
You want-
Yeah, there's
you
gonna
want
be an
this-
emotional string there for that they can
He did
tug
become the
at.
Mad Titan for a
But-
bit.
But for the purpose of the storytelling of this episode, he was basically just muscle.
And he was
He was
being
the big
owned
dude.
by Black Dwarf.
Right?
he was,
Yeah.
he was pretty much owned.
But no, they were tag
that's fair.
teaming him, right? So
Yeah.
You would have
yeah,
expected him to have lost to all four of the to all four, what's the name of the group? Black Order.
the Black Order. Yeah,
Yes,
he wouldn't have, but
right?
he did have one stone when he was their leader. One or two stones.
I highly
But
doubt. that
Didn't
already
he
had
start?
it.
Didn't he start his Infinity Quest after he already got his Black Order?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
We don't know that. But we're not here
In
again. We're not
MCU.
here to talk about that. But yeah, I mean,
I get what you're
oh
saying.
my
is
God,
he
they
looked
depowered
very
Thanos so much for this
He didn't
episode.
have to fight. I mean, I agree though. I just enjoyed the fatherly side of him, I guess, more than
Yeah, that
his
was
wimpy
cute.
side.
That was cute, but they could have gone with another character totally.
Or at the very
I
least,
don't like how they used Thanos.
they could have kept him really, really physically impressive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's the muscle
Yeah.
anyway, might as well.
But he's a farmer now, right?
That's true.
That's why.
Very
But
massive.
farmers are still strong, dude.
No,
Farmers
no,
are
no.
strong.
Yeah,
Have
I
you
agree.
seen
But
Aussie
he
farmers?
doesn't. He's not conditioning himself to fight every day.
He has to carry the whatever. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah. Okay, my other, I don't know if you agree, but I don't think the animation of T'Challa looked anything like
Chadwick
Chadwick Boseman.
Boseman.
No,
He
no,
didn't
it's
look
not. It's
like
more of the
Chadwick
voice really that carries.
Yeah, it was really the voice, right? Because I mean, last week we had Steve
Peggy.
Rogers still looking like Chris Evans.
But it wasn't
Peggy
Chris
Carter
Evans
still
who was
looking like
voicing him, which I kind of find like, But yeah,
Yeah.
skinny Steve looked like skinny Steve.
looked like skinny Chris Evans,
What?
and then Peggy Carter looked like
A really massive Haley Atwell.
yeah.
Peter Quill doesn't look like Chris Pratt.
No,
also.
not at all. Yeah,
But we don't, you don't really. I mean, I didn't really quite care
No,
about
so
that.
it may come down to the artist here on.
drawing it.
I mean the way
Yeah.
they drew the faces.
Yeah, but he's the main character. You would have at least made him look like if you were, especially since they were dedicating this episode to Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, that's true.
Diba? Have a
it
have
might
an accurate looking Chadwick Boseman on screen.
it may be several different things, and maybe it's one of those things where they tried to do it, and then when they did the demo, they said,
But,
"Oh
yeah,
no, this
okay,
is not
but
gonna work."
In the end, they didn't get him right. That's the whatever came
Visually.
out did not look like Chadwick Boseman. All right,
It
and
could
that's why I
also be
didn't like it.
possible that the animation would have been done. If I'm not mistaken, in terms of voiceovers, the animation usually is mostly done by the time that they pull in the voice actors. So it could be possible that they were nobody knew that he would have.
But, I mean, this is the
But
MCU.
you're
They
right.
were not going to. I mean, they were not going to recast the Black Panther, especially
T'Challa,
since this
T'Challa,
was
not the Black Panther.
whatever. They were not going to recast that character, especially since this is animation. They're not gonna recast the look of the character.
And if I
You know,
remember correctly,
unless
T'Chaka
they're
looked like
making him
T'Chaka,
look.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
T'Chaka looked like
yeah.
T'Chaka. Everyone else looked like everyone else, except for you guys said Peter Quill didn't look like Peter Quill. But Peter Quill didn't look like Chris Pratt. But yeah, I mean, unless it's like okay, we're going to cast someone who actually looks like this, so that you'll be conditioned to think, oh,
No.
he's T'Challa.
No, they already
Right?
said.
So that's the thing. That's the
Gotcha.
thing. If you're going to dedicate this episode to Chadwick Boseman, come up with the most accurate looking Chadwick Boseman that you can have.
It was kind of
Right.
missed out. Yeah, you're right. It would have.
Yeah, they missed out. They missed out on that, especially since he's the main character of the story. And the third thing that I got, I still have some pacing issues. They gloss over a lot of details, just so that the story can move forward. Yondu, except for that spit of drink at the start, he didn't really like complain about them not getting the right kid.
I'll show you the stars instead.
Yeah, I'll show you the stars, and then boom, we go straight into a flash forward, flash to the present, right?
Yep.
They did that a lot. I mean, the rift between Yondu and T'Challa, okay, it's there, and then
It's gone.
they have this plan. Okay, what's gonna happen? Oh, this is gonna happen. Who's gonna be the bait? You, because you lied to me. Okay, and then after that, okay, we're all friends again. Yay!
Yep.
Sticky fingers. Sticky fingers.
Right?
That's actually you're right.
Like
We'll be seeing
pacing
more of
issues.
it because of these 30-minute versions of 2.5-hour movies. But yeah, you're right. The pacing can be off-putting to a bit, to a certain degree. I've started to condition myself and tell myself that okay, yep, they're running at breakneck speed because they're trying to establish so much story in the first 5 minutes, so that the rest of the actual variation can happen. And now we're like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, that's fine.
I've given them a pass.
I'm just
No,
conditioning myself.
no,
for this
you
one.
never give these guys pass.
I,
They've
I,
been doing this for over 10 years. They should know how to tell a story properly.
no, but it's a 30-minute episode of an 2-hour movie. So I don't know.
But you don't have they don't necessarily have a limit. Why were Loki episodes 45 to 50 minutes long?
That's
Okay, so
Why
that's a
were all of
different
it-
thing. That's a
It's the
different thing. It's
same.
probably
It's
budgeting
MCU
issues or something like
TV.
that.
I think
It's
this show's gonna
MCU
be
TV, it's the
extremely
same.
popular.
Yeah, but still, they probably had, okay, you have 30 minutes.
Why
Compress
would you
everything
put a
into 30
limit
minutes.
to that?
Wait,
Why would you put a limit
animations
to
as
that and
well.
not put a limit to everything else?
It's probably because of animation. It's
Mm.
hard to churn
think-
out animation.
I think for them the standard might have been, yeah, let's do this 30 minutes because we're not expecting this to be extremely popular, whatever. I mean, whatever the cause is, I totally
It's
understand
MCU.
and
It's
agree
going
that
to
the
be popular.
totally agree that the pace is problematic. But for me, yeah, I'm giving them a pass. Joe was not gonna give them a pass because it could have been
No
much better.
way. They've been doing this for 10 years. They should know how to tell a story.
I think they yeah, because we lose some of the especially if people obviously this is the worst point in the MCU for you to start the MCU because you're like, what? I thought the story
This
was
is
like
a-
this. This is the worst bit. I mean,
this is a for fans type
this is
of
for fans. It's a
series.
fan service
Yeah.
kind of show.
I'm a fan.
Exactly. So you're the target audience, really. The
So you can
concessions-
criticize them, but you still understand what the movie is about, what the show is about. I mean, the 30 minutes you understood everything. You can still criticize them.
it's-
for-
I understand
pro
it,
and
but
con.
I feel shortchanged.
Yes, there you go.
basically.
Because there are certain things that you were hoping to see re-shown in this particular story, like specific relationships that you kind of like Joel mentioned glossed over because whatever they decided it's only 30 minutes and there was like point A and point C aren't we haven't reached the point C yet. So if they have trouble pacing a 2.5 hour Black Widow movie, then
I think that the pacing was a symptom of something else for that movie.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Anyways, that was a different thing altogether. That's all in the past. I'll go with mine. This is a sort of like in the same frame of thinking that Joel has. I know that it's Guardians of the Galaxy and it's been established since the Guardians of the Galaxy. I was expecting 80s music. I did not get 80s music. I was kind of sad.
Okay. I want to step in here.
Yes.
The reason why is
I-
because Peter Quill isn't the
Exactly.
main character.
All I'm saying is that Guardians of the Galaxy, 80s. So it's just like an automatic packaged product thing. And my mind was unfortunately conditioned and I sort of like was subconsciously looking for it. I know it's kind of like brain versus heart thing. Your brain knows that it's this, but your heart is just searching for something else. So it's just that. It's just a minor nitpick. We did get some 80s songs from Peter when he showed up at the end, but nobody really cared.
With the same Walkman.
With
With the
Same
same
Walkman.
Walkman, you're right. Yeah. Paul.
Okay, so yeah, just the 80s music. I'm not so sad about that because that's a Peter Quill thing, and it's so impactful, right? The first scene of that movie, when you see him not want to see his mom off and then run away with the Walkman, it's just like, whew, pull some strings here. Okay, but going to my dislikes. Okay, I guess in some way it's a little bit connected to what Joel is saying. I feel like, well, okay, Joel didn't say this. I don't want to put things into Joel. I don't want to put words into
What are you
Joel's
doing?
mouth.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
But my dislike is that T'Challa is a great character, but he doesn't seem to have a flaw. Like
It was
in this
so
show,
perfect.
No, he was perfect. He changed the Ravagers. He changed Thanos. Okay? He had Infinity Stones in his hand. He didn't really care for them. He didn't use them because he didn't need them. He could beat
But
everyone without an
but I don't
Infinity
think that
Stone.
he knew though.
Oh, okay. Maybe because he didn't open the orb. And it also disconnects to the, well, not really connects to the pacing being fast, but it's more of he's too perfect, so he doesn't get mad. Like he doesn't stay angry. Like, oh, you lied to me, but I'm good. We're good. We're family again. You're my dad. Let's go it. But you get hit because you lied to me.
Yeah.
So that's the tangent that I'm saying that it's connected to Joel's reason. But yeah, he's too perfect. Peter Quill, with all his flaws, strived to do his best as Star-Lord. Even though he was a little bit selfish because he wanted to be known right across the galaxy, he at least he was working towards something. There was character building. He was becoming a better person. So that was missed. But then they had 30 minutes. They didn't have time to have that character development because they only had 30 minutes to show the twist of the film.
And I think they were sort of banking on the goodwill already established by the MCU movies. They're saying that, hey, this is T'Challa, but in space.
You already know him. Yeah,
you already know him, so let's not bother.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's the only dislike for me.
The you have to also think that okay, so T'Challa's been perfect, doesn't have a flaw ever since he was a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm just trying to tease out any possible reasoning. There is a lot of missed opportunity here, but they probably decided that it wasn't as important. It's probably there, but was cut in the cutting room floor. So maybe there's an extended version.
Okay, and I didn't write this one down. I didn't write it down because it's very small. I would have loved to see like the Panther God, but then I guess Panther God stayed on Earth. Didn't really move on to him because he
or
wasn't.
Maybe since the vibranium came from somewhere, right?
They could
have gone to where the vibranium actually came from.
Originated from.
There was no referencing to the Black Panther at all because he never got to become the Black Panther.
Right.
So there's no point.
Right.
I mean, T'Chaka was still the Black Panther at that stage.
Yeah.
He actually survived. So there was no point. And besides, we're gonna get Killmonger soon enough. So the Black Panther story is gonna continue somehow.
All right.
Unless we're gonna get Iron Panther. Oh my gosh.
But he's more flexible. The Black Panther suit is more flexible than Iron Man. And
no, definitely. He came up. They came up. What's her name? What's the sister's name?
Who?
Shuri.
Shuri came up with nanotechnologies probably earlier than Iron Man. What is Tony Stark did? She is smarter. Cool. Let's go to theories and expectations. Joe, I'm not sure if this one is if we have got a reach here. So I actually don't know what to expect based off of this episode. It's so hard. This episode seems to be such a one-off. Although we do like you said, we do have Killmonger in another episode coming up. I'm not really sure if this connects with that. Yep.
Or
any of it actually.
Or any of it, except for the fact that that Uatu did that they devoted like 30 seconds to show what actually happened to Peter Quill and Ego. So there must be something there. That the Ego might show up later on, or Peter Quill might have a role somewhere down the line. But I really don't see how this connects. Maybe I don't know if since towards the end of the episode we do have the Ravagers visiting Wakanda. I don't know if that is the same Wakanda where the Killmonger that we're gonna have in the series is gonna come from,
Yep.
or if it's something totally different. If it's in a different dimension, timeline, universe.
That's true.
So yeah, I'm stumped for once. I don't have a reach. Yeah, I don't have a reach. I'll probably come up with something on the fly in a little bit while listening to your expectations
Sure
and
thing. Okay.
theories.
So this is not exactly an expectation either, but it's a theory, and it stems to what I tried to establish in the previous episode's expectation, which is that a theory that there is still some sort of arc that connects all of these episodes that will become more apparent in the later and next episode. I don't know. I'm feeling that they should start establishing it somehow, or else we'll be like, that's a little bit contrived if it's too late that they actually set it up. But one character in the Guardians of, well, there are several characters. We did get to see Drax. We never got to see Rocket. We never got to see Groot. So it's a bit sad. We never found out what happened to them. We got Peter Quill instead. I was like, meh. But one other character that was very much missing, that was an intersection of two families here, the ones with the Ravagers and the ones with Thanos and Nebula, is Gamora, which I found very, very interesting. So they purposely did not include Gamora. I'm not too much of an expert on the timeline of when she was actually added to the family. We did see that. When Nebula became part of the family is what I'm not certain about. We do know that Gamora was taken in when her planet was judged, in the words of Mo. So that when she was a little girl, this didn't happen here, which begs the question: Did T'Challa reach Thanos before he started going on the killing sprees? Which means he must have been very, very young when they first met. So where is Gamora? My theory, and this is based purely on the cover art of the TV show, of the series on Disney Plus website, is that she's the one who took over the plan of Thanos. We see her in the Thanos armor and the blade, the dual blade. So maybe, but this one, like I said, this one relies on the fact that some of these stories might be connected to each other, which could possibly be no. So, but we will be seeing her somehow in an episode with Thanos' armor. Whether it is connected to this one, not sure. Who knows? Paul.
Only the watcher knows.
Only one.
Oh, so my what I wrote down was that maybe the what if episodes might not be standalone as we are led to believe, and the whole reason why I thought about it was because of what Uatu said, that what happened to Peter Quill and that thing, ego absorbing him, and that could spell the end of the world, was a story for a different time.
Yeah.
He said, so it was more of a, we're gonna come
It's
to
a
that
teaser.
later on. It's a teaser, exactly.
Did we not get something like that in the What If Captain Carter? We did not.
No, because there
No,
wasn't.
well, the actual teaser, I guess the teaser there would be she was looking for Steve, but then Nick Fury says the war is over, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
70 years ago.
70 years ago. And then they cut, right? That
So
was
Watu
it.
didn't have any parting words about
There's no parting words. So, and then sprinkled across this episode, well, not sprinkled, but there's one conversation where Thanos says that the Collector became became like the mob boss Collector because he left and there was a power
Yeah, there was a power
vacuum.
vacuum.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he took, and now they got rid of the Collector. Then who's gonna take his place?
the Game
It's
Master.
now the Game Master.
Uh,
Well, it's confirmed that Goldblum's gonna reprise his role as the Game Master, but it'll be
Okay.
different. Probably it'll be
Probably in the
actual
Thor
Planet Hulk.
episodes.
Probably an actual Planet Hulk.
so
Anyway.
so that's my theory that we may have been the introduction to the What If universe may have been that they were single stories, but in the end they may have, like what Arnold said, an overarching storyline
Yeah.
that would culminate to an Avenger-esque movie not movie but
Episode.
finale.
Yeah, that's actually been theorized a lot by all of these other channels, like New Rock Stars,
Because there was a
even Nerdist.
there was
They
a
had this idea of
pose in one of
Guardians.
the trailers of them.
Yeah,
of the Guardians.
the post, the Avengers esque post, the
first
camera
movie.
panning around,
For the
and
first
then
movie.
we've got Star Lord and all of these other characters.
Exactly.
It's been theorized that this is going to probably end, or it's going to be introduced. The Guardians of the Multiverse is going to be introduced during this
As a
season.
lead up to Guardians 4? Guardians 3?
Not necessarily. I don't think so. I hope not. I hope.
Okay,
I hope
my-
Guardians 3 stays.
my only I guess my only doubt in for that the whole theory of this being interconnected is when they get to the Marvel Zombies episode, because no one's gonna survive Marvel
No,
Zombies.
no, that's it. Yeah, if I remember
Not
correctly,
necessarily.
that's completely.
Remember, it's not. Although they have said that the Marvel Zombies episode is the most faithful to the comics, it's still an adaptation of the comic.
No,
It
I
doesn't
mean
necessarily
if
have
they
to follow.
if they go against the Marvel Zombies, so it's either the Marvel Zombies will be the big bad or someone else will be the big bad. It can't be two big bads, right? Because if you read through Marvel Zombies, they were the bad guys. They just ate everything. So I don't know what I mean. It just makes me question whether or not it is interconnected, because of when they hit that episode, nothing will survive. Just the zombies. So
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe Kang has something to say about that.
Yeah, and yeah, again, it's an adaptation of the comic. It's not going to be the comic. The ending of the
Per
comic
se.
is not going to be the ending of
If I'm not
the
mistaken,
show.
Zombies is a miniseries, right? It's actually quite long.
it is. Yeah, it's up to 5. I have all of them.
Cool.
Yeah, it's up to 5. Then they have their Halloween episode, their Halloween series.
And also,
That's
I think
very
I'm
on
not
the
sure
nose.
in Marvel Zombies are the zombies also intelligent?
Yes, they're sentient. So they still have all of their faculties. They just
Okay.
have this overarching hunger to eat
Yeah,
flesh,
that's the hunger.
to eat
Yeah,
brain.
that's
Controllable hunger.
Yeah.
And they are
that's
undead.
that's what the virus is called.
Yeah.
The hunger.
They are also undead. All right.
And just to tease you guys with this idea, I'm on IMDb right now, and Chadwick Boseman is actually on slate also for 2 other episodes,
Yes. I saw that as well.
including the Marvel Zombies.
So maybe
episode.
the Black Panther is gonna show up there. So he'd probably be the Black Panther.
Yeah, the Black Panther zombies.
Possible. I know. I know. Gamora. No, not Gamora. Nebula
Sorry,
is also
3
slated
episodes.
for a few more episodes. So yeah, it's quite possible that we'll be seeing them, but as different versions or variants of them.
Yep.
If we are going to be using the proper terminology. All right. I'm assuming Joel didn't come up with anything in the meantime.
I don't have anything.
That's okay.
I don't have a reach. Oh my gosh, this is the
That's
first
all right.
time.
This is a variant universe. Joel doesn't have.
Yeah,
A reach.
it's a weird episode for me. It's a weird episode for me.
I really enjoyed it though. Really,
R.I.P.
really.
R.I.P. Korg, by the way.
Oh no, his arm.
Yeah, he dies in this universe.
His arm.
Did he? Was it really Cord?
Yeah, Korg's arm. Yeah.
Well,
Didn't he just say he
named
got it
He
from,
just called it
someone-
A very chatty.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Collector mentioned the personality of the of the race. I
The
forgot
guy he
his
got it
race.
from.
Yeah.
So how-
And he even
managed-
had Mjolnir and Cap's shield in his
in his collection. Yeah.
Right,
his
right.
collection.
Yeah.
So that means he's gotten rid of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And he has Hela's helmet,
Helmet. Yep.
which is an interesting thing. Does that mean that he's actually overcome Hela, and Hela is somewhere in his collection?
Probably.
Um,
Wait. I have a question. Do you guys remember Thor 2? Because I don't remember Malekith having a dagger.
Blade. A blade.
Well, Dark Elf 1, it doesn't necessarily have to be Malekith.
Malekith,
From probably
yes.
one of the.
I mean, I understand Paul's assumption because he's the big.
Yeah, yeah.
dude.
No, because he mentioned Dark Matter dagger that I got from the
From
king
a
of
Dark
the.
Elf.
Did he say a dark elf? I thought he said the king of the dark elves.
I don't think he said king.
Oh, okay. So that might be. I may have misheard
For
it
all we
then.
know, that dark elf that stepped out of
Oh, there was a
Yeah.
dark elf there.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Could have
the
been
dark
Gilligan.
elf.
You have no idea.
And then
How many times
yeah.
have you watched the Dark World?
One. Why would you want to
Once.
revisit that disaster movie?
Well,
It's
some of
still a
my
good
friends
movie.
do think that Dark World is a very underrated.
Yeah, it's still quite enjoyable. Come on. All right, let's wrap this up. That is it for the show. Thank you again to Paul and Joel for joining me and sharing thoughts, impressions, and theories. Not so much in the theories of
Not
this
all those
episode of
theories.
What If, because maybe it's all just separate stories.
Mm.
I ask you, dear audience, how would you have retold this particular story? Next time, we continue traveling through the multiverse, reliving the familiar as new variant stories. What changes to key MCU events are you keen to see? We'd love to know your ideas. As always, dear audience, we hope you tune in to the next episode and continue to hang out with us. Till then, bye.
Bye. Never give them a pass. Don't give them a pass.